Welcome back to the Celtics Nation Rise account. I'm Griffin Aldridge. Alongside me is Seamus Zarlingo. And yes, I am acting happy right now, but I am not so happy as it's a sad day as a Celtics fan. Yesterday was a sad day for me now. But I think all Celtics fans knew that coming into today, we'll just say today, that it was going to be a rough day. You have Torrey Craig, you have Drew Peterson, Al Horford, Luke Kornet. Is that everyone? All free agents. And we knew the Celtics were in some trouble with the salary cap and all of that fun stuff. So you can't offer them the best deal. And we knew that coming into that, but you guys see it up top. Luke Kornet has signed a deal with the San Antonio Spurs. But Seamus, if you wanted to break down this deal for us really quick as we start this program.
Well, let's get the official report out to everybody right now. And this is per Shams Charania. Free agent center Luke Kornet has agreed to a 4-year, $41 million deal with the San Antonio Spurs, sources tell ESPN. Key front court addition for the Spurs, who negotiated a contract tonight with Kornet's agent, Mark Weepking of Gersh Sports. So Luke Kornet on his way out of Boston and on his way down to San Antonio on a 4-year, $41 million deal. And this is about a $10 million per year deal for Luke Kornet. So making the same money, about the same money as Sam Hauser now. However, Sam Hauser making that money on the Boston Celtics. Meanwhile, Luke Kornet making that money now on the San Antonio Spurs.
Well, Seamus, and that's a question I would ask you. Would you rather have Luke Kornet or would you rather have Sam Hauser? Who would you prefer?
Well, that's an interesting question, okay? Because I would say that is sort of a question that's been asked this past season is would you rather have the $10 million worth of salary of Luke Kornet or Sam Hauser? I tend to lean on the side of Sam Hauser maybe being a little bit more valuable of a player because of his sharpshooting ability.
Yeah.
He has a definitive skill in which you look at and go, this man, if you slot him into a lineup for this purpose, right, to be a spark plug within a lineup to create quick offense and to be able to space the floor and hit outside shots, right? And from a quick offense standpoint, it's his shooting ability, not his off the dribble ability, but his shooting ability. Meanwhile, Luke Kornet, great rebounder, great putback getter, right? A great center when it came to putback opportunities with the Boston Celtics last season. Great rebounder, great role guy, both from a role player standpoint and actually in the pick and roll, right? A great role guy, Luke Kornet is, and a great personality in the locker room as well. That's one of the biggest aspects of Luke Kornet flocking to San Antonio that people aren't going to talk about in the national media, but we all know within Celtics Nation. The Boston Celtics locker room is losing one of their best personalities
Well,
in Luke Kornet. And not only they just lost one of their best personalities, their two best personalities in Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, and now Luke Kornet. So those are three just huge blows to the Celtics when it comes from the personality department. But if you look at Luke Kornet compared to Sam Hauser, it's very close. Yeah, I would say Sam Hauser. I got to say, this summer, I think people are underrating Sam Hauser just a bit. Now, if you looked at it last season, he is the person, if you were talking about, cutting costs, he's the one player that didn't necessarily live up to his contract entirely. Now, you could say that about some of the starters on the Celtics, such as Holiday and Porzingis, who are now moved out of Boston as well. But Sam Hauser was the lower salary in which you went, he maybe is more in the range of a $7-8 million player, but he's making $10 million. He could be even below that mark of $7-8 million on some occasions in some different stretches, as we saw last season. That being said, Sam Hauser this summer, the position in which he plays, he's a 40% 3 point shooter. I mean, he's been over a 40% 3 point shooter in his career. I mean, let's face it, he was slumping this season, Sam Hauser was, and we physically saw it, right? I shouldn't even be doing this because we saw it. But at the end of the season, he still shoots 40% from three. So even in a slump type of a season for Sam Hauser in a season where he fell off a little bit, still shooting over 40% from three. So still a very, very valuable player for any team, including the Celtics. And I think the conversation of moving him has gone a little bit by the wayside unless the Celtics need to move him for a center. That's possible later on down the line, whether it's this summer or even at the deadline. To cut costs too. He's worth $10 million. Sam Hauser could be moved at the deadline. The Celtics luxury tax bill isn't finalized until the end of the season. So the Celtics have until the end of the season, which is, let's face it, it's the trade deadline because that's after that you can't make moves if you're a team. But after that point, if you're the Celtics, with Sam Hauser's deal, or rather at the trade deadline, could move Sam Hauser's deal later on in time. But at this point, I would say the Celtics are. He's a little bit more valuable of a player than people want to give him credit for. And when I say that, people want to dump him salary wise and just ship him anywhere. But that's to me, Sam Hauser is a little bit more valuable than people understand because of his ability to shoot the ball. And not only that, on the defensive end of the floor, I know he really fell off this past season, but he's still a four that can give you something on that end of the floor. He's not a complete zero, a complete negative. I mean, he has made strides on that end to where you could say, oh, during some important moments, he could step up to the occasion. But ultimately, Luke Kornet, Sam Hauser, I would say it's pretty close. I wouldn't want to pick one or the other necessarily. And if I were to pick one or the other, I might lean Sam Hauser just a little bit because Luke Kornet, he brings some nice intangibles to the floor, but you might be able to find those same intangibles out of a big who's worth $5 million. You know, I know
Totally.
Luca
Totally.
Garza. We're going to talk about him later, but Luca
You know,
Garza is coming into the building. Maybe you can coach up a 26-year-old Luca Garza into filling that same
I
Cornet role in time. And he's a
yeah,
different type of a big, but you know what I mean. Same
no,
type of
totally.
production. If you were talking about baseball war, right? Value over replacement as well. VORP, any of those stats. Maybe you can replace that a little bit with Luca Garza or even another big out on the market. I know it's slim pickings right now for the Celtics. I mean, where the replacement options are not great, but later on down the line, it might be easier to replace somebody of Luke Kornet's stature at $10 million with a cheaper player than somebody of Sam Hauser's
Oh,
caliber and his ability to shoot the ball.
totally.
Because let's face it,
Totally.
he's one of the best shooters in the league.
Yeah, totally. And I think again, Seamus, what
But Luke
off of
Kornet, one of the best offensive rebounders in the league. Just
yeah.
saying.
So, but
Just saying.
going off of what you said too, I think it's more so the fact of the locker room guy. I feel like that's what you're missing from the Celtics. You know, he was one of the funniest guys in the NBA. You think about him, he's hilarious. And these are just some moments I wanted to pull up too. You have the Luke Kornet dabs, you know, going down the court dabbing. Gonna miss that. You have the Cornet clips right there.
Dude,
You know,
this is the Cornet contest. All
yes,
right,
but
folks, and this
the
is
Cornet
exactly what
contest,
this photo
but the clips,
100% embodies the Cornet contest right here. It's
but
meant to block the vision of the shooter.
the
And you
clips
see here,
as they will call
the
it,
vision of the shooter is definitely blocked from the rim.
totally. And
Screaming
then
Patrick
right
Williams.
here, you have him cooking up some food in the kitchen right there. So you gotta love Cornet, and ultimately, I think this is the one that we all love, the championship. I think this is gonna be a fan favorite, and it hurts that we've already shown 3 of these championship pictures in the past week and a half, Seamus. That's the most painful thing, that we've shown 3 championship guys already gone. And if we want to get more into it, obviously Jaden Springer gone, Svi Mihailuk and O'Shea Brissett, those players, but already 3. And there could potentially be more. But ultimately, you're losing the locker room guy. You're losing the guy who, you know, when times are hard, he's a guy who could give you a little chuckle. And I think that's what the Celtics are going to miss, especially going into this season where it's going to be a bridge season. And we talked about it over on the live on CTW that this year is going to be a painful year to watch. And it's just going to be a bridge year. And the product that the Celtics are going to be putting out there won't be the best. So it would have been great. This would have been a key season to have those Luke Kornet chuckles mixed in there. You know, this would have been a season where, you know, you can't expect the championship, but you could have fun at games. You know, you could still expect to go on the broadcast and have Luke giving those jabs and have him doing the puppy bark as Porzingis used to do too. But I feel like that's the stuff that we're missing, especially in a year where things are going to be down. No Tatum. You know, you just traded Holiday. You just traded Porzingis. Al Horford might not even be coming back. So this is a year where you need that laugh. And now he is shipped off to the Spurs. But Seamus, what are your thoughts along those lines? Do you feel like that's because I agree with you. I feel like even with Luca Garza, you could really get what Luke Kornet provided for you in a player, totally. Because let's face it, he's good and he's proved himself. All the blocks that he's been doing, and let's talk about it. He was a 3-time Celtics Nation Rise MVP during the regular season and got a Celtics Nation Rise MVP in the postseason as well. So 4 Celtics Nation Rise MVPs. He's a good player. But you could still get some of that from another player. But I think the real thing that you're really losing from Luke Kornet is his spirits and a locker room guy. He is one of the funniest and most entertaining guys to watch on the court. But what are your thoughts, Seamus?
Well, first of all, Luke Kornet up to this point in his career. So Luke Kornet came into the league in 2017, all right, as an undrafted free agent with the New York Knicks. Came into the league in the 2017-18 season. That was Luke Kornet's rookie year. Up to this point in his career, Luke Kornet had only made $13.3 million in his entire NBA career from 2017 to 2025. Now, over the next 4 years, Luke Kornet will be making $41 million. So he'll be making nearly as much money next season as he had the entirety of his first, what, 8 years in the NBA, essentially. Yes, 8 seasons in the NBA, 5 of those with the Boston Celtics. And I completely agree with you, Griffin, and everybody who's going to say this out there about Luke Kornet. The personality the Celtics are losing in the locker room right now, that's one of the biggest aspects of this entire departure when it comes to Luke Kornet departing to the San Antonio Spurs. That's just something the national media won't talk about, but Celtics Nation knows very well. Luke Kornet is somebody who lifted the spirits of the Celtics. It was always there for a smile. It just was always there to lighten the mood, no matter what the situation really was surrounding the Celtics. And we know, oh God, there's been a couple of situations at the end of the year that weren't pretty for the Celtics. But Luke Kornet, I mean, think about one of the highlights of the season, right? In game 5 against the New York Knicks, the game after Tatum tears his Achilles, Luke Kornet comes out and blocks 7 shots and is a huge part of why the Celtics were able to blow out the Knicks without Tatum on the Garden floor in game 5. And that was his last game on the Garden floor. Luke Kornet's last game on the TD Garden floor was a 7 block performance against the New York Knicks, and he led the Celtics along with Jaylen Brown that night to a valiant win after Tatum tore his Achilles. Obviously, we all know how it turned out in Game 6, but Game 5 that was a highlight of the season. That was a real resilient moment for the Celtics. That was a game where the Celtics established their pride, even though up to that point their pride had been severely stricken in that Knicks series. But Luke Kornet, a huge part of that, was 7 blocks. And I even mentioned on the live earlier, came up with a career high in rebounds facing the San Antonio Spurs back on March 29th. 16 rebounds that night. Really got after it from the offensive rebound standpoint. I believe he had 7 offensive rebounds that night, 9 defensive rebounds, 16 a career high. So that was against the Spurs back on March 29th. We came on here, gave Luke Kornet his praise. And, well, a couple months later, the Spurs, they ink Luke Kornet to a $41 million deal. And just to go over a couple more things here with Luke Kornet, played 73 games last season with the Celtics. That was a career high. Started a career high. Actually, no, not a career high, but he started 16 games with the Celtics last year. Actually started 18 games with the New York Knicks back in 18-19. Only played 46 games that season, but a career high in games played regardless for the Celtics this season. 73 games played, and minutes wise, Luke Kornet, 18.6 minutes played per game for Luke Kornet. That was a career high this season for Luke Kornet, or rather this past season, the 24-25 season for Luke Kornet. Averaged a career high in rebounds per game last year as well, along with assists per game and blocks per game was pretty well. He's been right around one for his entire career. But Luke Kornet, career highs in multiple categories, spent 5 seasons with the Celtics. So 2021, 21 22, 22 23, 23 24, where he won the title with the Celtics, of course, and 24-25 last season, where he established himself as a legitimate rotation piece for the C's. So over time, Luke Kornet plays 235 games with the Boston Celtics in the regular season, and in the playoffs, he plays 43 games, including 13 on the way to the Celtics title in 2024. So Luke Kornet really put in the work in the Celtics organization last couple of years, and he's been the embodiment of what the Celtics have done this decade so far, and in particularly developing players, and that's why we have so much faith potentially in Luca Garza later on in time. Is the Celtics have been able to take certain players like Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, Luke Kornet now, and turn them into legitimately valuable rotation pieces, and not just guys we see on the back end of the roster riding the bench. Right, that the Celtics have done a tremendous job at developing the players in which they've had, and you even think about Keita, right? Is Keita going to be on the roster next season? We'll have to see. But
Yeah.
he's officially on the roster right now, but could he be moved? You'll have that
Mm.
conversation. The Celtics are definitely the big man spot after this Luke Kornet deal is a little questionable for the Celtics right now. But ultimately, Keita is another one of those names. So Keita, Pritchard, Sam Hauser, Luke Kornet, all names the Celtics have developed in their organization and developed during a time where the Celtics needed contributions from these players. You think about the bench last year: Pritchard, Hauser, Cornet, and those are three guys. And then Al Horford, he's not 38-year-old former All-Star center we have off the bench, but everybody else, right? It's developed from. I mean, let's face it, those guys spent quite a bit of time in Maine, up
Totally.
there with
Well,
you,
well,
Griffin. I mean,
Seamus,
that's how they've been. Red one there it is, 100%. There's the main Celtics uniform for Luke Kornet. And what's odd about this is it doesn't seem that long ago he was up there in Maine playing with the Maine Celtics, and now we're sitting here going, "Oh man, he walked to the Spurs and we couldn't give the
couldn't
Celtics
afford
the
him.
Celtics were not giving Luke Kornet $10 million per year. Right
Yeah,
now they're struggling to sign Al Horford to the mid. Now we'll see. Is Al Horford going to get more than the mid-level exception? We don't know yet. But it seems like the Celtics are struggling to even get Al Horford back on the taxpayer mid-level exception, around $5 million in there. There was no way the Celtics were handing out $10 million to Luke Kornet over the next 4 seasons. And kudos to Luke Kornet for going out and getting his money. That's just the business of the game. You go out and get paid. It's life. That's just what it is. But I will say right now, to see Luke Kornet progress in such a quick we think about it, it's a quick period of time, but it has been 5 seasons with
totally.
the Celtics in there, and he was with the Cavs and Bucks for a minute there in between the 2021 and 21-22 seasons. But it's just it feels like yesterday he was up there playing with the main Celtics, and now he's all of a sudden walking, and Celtics Nation's freaking out over the fact our center rotation includes Xavier Tillman, Nehemias Queta, Amari Williams, and Luca Garza right now,
Yeah.
and that's
Well,
the center rotation, and Luke Cornet's departure has a big sway on that.
oh, totally, hands down. And I look back at, I saw one of his first games in Boston. I was actually there, and I saw him in the parade. Obviously, like I'm a big guy on Luke Kornet, like so it hurts totally. And I want to throw this up, Seamus, too. We were talking about those Maine Celtics jerseys the other day, how nice they are, and you have him wearing the Baylor Shireman one right there. He embodies what it means to be a Celtic. Like he reps the gear. He's all about the main gear. And check this out, Seamus. Do you see what he's wearing on the top of his head?
It looks like a Portland Sea Dogs hat from my vision.
Well, your vision must be right then, because he is wearing a Sea Dog hat. And obviously, if you guys don't know, I'm an intern for the Sea Dog. But look, look how much he just embodies what it means to be a Celtic, what it means to be a Maine Celtic, loving Maine, having a lot of contribution to Maine itself. You saw the Sea Dog hat right there. He was also just at a Woo Sox game not too long ago in Worcester. So he is what it truly means to embody as a Celtic. He the character is there, and I feel like that's the hard part that we're losing. Though it's not the fact that his production on the court, because he is a very good player, but you could develop a player into that. However, it's it's the fact that he embodies what it means to be a Celtic, and he brings that light to Celtics Nation for sure.
And I want to bring this up. In March of 2021, the Celtics go out and trade for Luke Kornet, and this is from the Celtics Everyday account. Can't pull it up on stream because phone storage issues and whatnot, folks.
Yeah,
But here
let's
you go.
do this.
There's the trade.
Wow. And Luke Kornet.
Celtics receive Mo Wagner and Luke Kornet. Bulls receive Daniel Tice, Javante Green, and Troy Brown Jr. The Wizards receive Daniel Gafford and Chandler Hutchinson. So quite a looking back at this, quite a crazy deal, right? Mo Wagner turned out to be something. Luke Kornet turned out to be something. And then Daniel Gafford there at the bottom turned out to be something. And the best player in this deal at the time was considered to be Daniel Tice. And the
Was.
Celtics were actually selling, crazy enough about this deal, the Celtics were selling Daniel Tice's contract to get to a lower number. So in this deal, Mo Wagner and Luke Kornet, they were worth about $2 million a piece. And Javante Green and Daniel Tice, they added up to about, I want to say $12 million at the time, probably a little bit more, 12, 13, 14. And the Celtics cut about $10 million off their bill with that trade. That was the whole point of that trade, is to get under the luxury tax line in 2021. And the Celtics did that along with the Evan Fournier moved Jeff Teague for Evan Fournier and fit Fournier into a trade exception. I believe it was the Hayward trade exception, maybe back in 2021. But the Celtics were trying to shed salary in this deal and wound up with Luke Kornet and Mo Wagner. And you look back at that, that's a pretty wow. You're trying to shed salary and you somehow wind up with two players who are right now seen as over $10 million per year players. Now we'll have to see with Mo Wagner because his status as a free agent is up in the air, and his option, the Magic and Mo Wagner, there we'll see what that long term solution for those two sides looks like right now in free agency. But regardless, Mo Wagner definitely a valuable piece to the Magic, and tore his ACL unfortunately last season. But before that was one of their better offensive players. They were certainly missing in the playoffs when they faced the Celtics in the 2025 NBA playoffs. But Mo Wagner and Luke Kornet for Daniel Tice and Javante Green, essentially. And then the Wizards at the bottom, they trade away Troy Brown and Mo Wagner and get back Daniel Gafford. I mean, that
Yeah.
is definitely a deal. Like you look at that deal nowadays, you're going, "Oh, that's definitely not happening nowadays for these couple players." But I do want to bring up another one. This is after Luke Kornet's Celtics debut. This is again from the Celtics.everyday page on Instagram. So folks, Celtics. That's me. Celtics.everyday. Everybody go check out the page, right? But I've
Hey,
been around quite a bit, and this is Luke Kornet's Celtics debut. Luke Kornet, March
with the mask
27th,
though.
2021, at Oklahoma City. 8 points, 5 rebounds, 3 of 5, or 3 of 5 from the field. And I believe three of those, so 3 of 5, but he made 2 3-pointers and a 2 pointer. So that was his Celtics debut, as you see down there. But yeah, there you go. Luke Kornet. Couldn't bring this up on stream, some technical difficulties, but some some graphics from back in the day, right? 2021. Luke Kornet's Celtics debut, and then the trade that sent Luke Kornet. And look, here's the jersey, right? There's the Luke Kornet jersey when he joined the Boston Celtics. And I want to see if I can find an interesting tidbit. Let's see if I can find this in here.
Let's go.
Oh, yes, I can. So his sister Nicole, right? Nicole Kornet. I believe she's well. We won't get into that. believe she's a volleyball player. I'm not sure.
Well,
Advantage. Oh, she
she
was.
must be. I bet she's tall. Luke
Well,
Kornet's
let's see.
young,
Wait, wait,
so
wait. Let's confirm. Let's confirm this. I want to confirm the resume of Luke Kornet's sister real quick. No, sorry, UCLA women's basketball. Okay, so not volleyball, but UCLA women's basketball, Oklahoma women's basketball. So Luke Kornet, regardless, his sister, right? Very good athlete herself. So the athletics run pretty far down the Kornet family, but she gave this little tidbit of information out. Luke Kornet actually wanted to be number 9 with
no
the
way.
Celtics, and this was well before Derek White was on the team. Think this was back in April of 2021. He was traded to the Celtics in March of 2021, but this is April of 2021, and his sister claimed he wanted to be number 9, but he was too shy to ask for the number 9 from the Celtics organization, and so he slotted into the number 40 and became quite a legendary number 40 for the Celtics. As we all know in history, Derek White took over that number 9 in February of 2022, the next year. So a year later, Derek White comes into the building and takes away that number 9. But at the time, Luke Kornet wanted the number 9. So there you go. There's a little tidbit about Luke Kornet from the past in 2021 as it
Well,
focuses here on a blurry photo of Luke Kornet's what could have been number 9 jersey. Luke Kornet and Jaylen Brown could have both been number 9, but both have stories about
new
going
numbers.
elsewhere to number
Well,
40 and number 7, and Derek White's number 9. Funny how things work out.
well, Seamus, I want to show this too. The championship parade. That's one I took of Luke Kornet. So gotta give some love to on the championship parade. It hurts, I feel like we broke the sad news earlier, and it hurts. And I'm gonna pull this up one more time too before we close it. Like another champion gone, another champion gone. But best luck to Luke Kornet for the
Cannot
Spurs.
wait for the schedule release.
I
Cannot
know
wait to see the Spurs. And back at the Garden too, there's going to be
some. Oh,
standing O for Luke
totally,
Kornet.
totally. But with that being said, everyone, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you guys with the next one. Content is going to be crazy all off season long, so make sure to turn on those post notifications to be notified every time we upload, because again, it's going to be hectic. This breaking news was random, and we're going to get a lot more this off season. So make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned. We will see you guys with the next one. Peace, guys.